And on this Thursday, February 19th, 2026 edition of Newsmakers, a journalist and an activist are pleading not guilty to federal charges connected to the church protest in St. Paul, Minnesota. Independent reporter Georgia Fort and Traherne Cruz, a co-founder of Black Lives Matter Minnesota, entered their pleas during a brief arraignment. They're facing charges of conspiracy against the rights of religious freedom at a place of worship and violating the FACE Act. The charges come from a January 18th protest at City's Church against one of its pastors, David Easterwood, who is the acting director of ICE's field office in St. Paul. Georgia Fort and former CNN host Don Lemon were told of the protest in advance and were documenting the demonstration. President Trump says he has received pledges for Gaza reconstruction and troop commitments at the inaugural Board of Peace talks. Sagar Magandi reports.
The president says 9 members have pledged a combined $7 billion toward a Gaza relief package.
The Board of Peace is showing how a better future can be built starting right here in this room.
And he says the U.S. is pledging $10 billion for the board, without specifying how the money will be used. 5 nations will contribute troops to an international stabilization force in Gaza.
We will help bring the security that Gaza needs for our future prosperity and enduring peace.
Major General Jasper Jeffers' force calls for 12,000 police and 20,000 soldiers in Gaza. The president created the board as part of a plan to end the Gaza conflict, but the ceasefire deal there remains fragile, and some allies are skeptical of the board. Sagar Magani, Washington.
More details are being released about an explosion in upstate New York that reduced a church to rubble. Authorities say a propane fuel line was damaged when the Abundant Life Fellowship Church in Boonville shifted Tuesday under the weight of snowfall on the roof. 4 firefighters and a church pastor were inside the building at the time and ended up being injured when the furnace turned on. Oneida County Executive Anthony Pacente says the community will rally to help those affected by the explosion. Meta CEO has taken the stand in a landmark social media trial. Jennifer King reports.
Mark Zuckerberg testified in a Los Angeles courtroom Wednesday as lawyers for a young woman known as KGM try to prove that social media companies deliberately addict children and harm their mental health. Attorney Mark Lanier presented internal documents that seem to contradict the Meta CEO's congressional testimony when he denied that Instagram employees were told to boost the time teenagers spent on the platform. The tech mogul mostly stuck to his talking points and deflected questions about whether Instagram is addictive. Outside court, Juliana Arnold with the group Parents Rise says she thinks the trial is exposing how social media companies need to be regulated and held accountable.
The whole world now knows what's really going on in Meta, and that anything that they say or do, we cannot trust.
Meta and YouTube, which is owned by Google, are the 2 remaining defendants in the case. TikTok and Snapchat settled out of court before jury selection began. I'm Jennifer King.
A breakaway Catholic traditionalist group has rejected the Vatican's offer of talks. The position of the Society of St. Pius X suggests a collision course with Pope Leo XIV over its planned consecrations of new bishops without his consent. The SSPX, as the group is known, celebrates the Old Latin Mass and has no formal status in the Catholic Church. It is planning to consecrate 4 new bishops without papal consent. The Vatican has offered dialogue, but only if the SSPX calls off the July 1st ceremony. In a letter today to the Vatican's doctrine chief, the SSPX said the Vatican's threat of sanctions, quote, is hardly compatible with a genuine desire for fraternal exchanges and constructive dialogue. And that's Newsmakers for this Thursday, February 19th, 2026 edition. I'm Keith Black.